Hello class, welcome to lesson 4-5, which is all about solving two-step equations. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to solve two-step equations and solve real-world problems involving two-step equations. So let's jump in with some vocab. Two-step equation contains two different math operations. Okay, so the last couple of days we've spent working on solving equations with one step, whether it was adding and subtracting or multiplying and dividing. Now we're doing problems that are going to involve maybe adding and multiplying or subtracting and multiplying or any combination of them. Okay, so to solve, I'm going to teach you something new that I learned, but I think it helps a little bit better than a previous way that I used to teach this, and this is called Don't Call Me After Midnight. So if you can remember the Don't call me after midnight. So that is used to help you remember the order that you should be doing your work in. So the first D means to distribute. So that means if you have anywhere in your problem, maybe you have something that looks like this, you would start by distributing, okay? Today we aren't really going to have anything that looks like that, so you don't need to worry about that too much, okay? Combine like terms. So let's say I had a 3x plus 4x minus 5 equals 8. I'm just making these up, so if you solve them, they don't work out because I literally just made up numbers. The first thing you would do is you would combine these like terms and make it a 7x minus 5 equals 8 before you would solve. Okay? Move variable. This is something that we're going to end up doing more over the next couple of days rather than today. But that moving variable is for the times where you have, say, a variable on both sides of the equal sign. Like I said, we're not really going to worry about that one too much today. Today you're mainly looking out for combining like terms first, and then you will add or subtract next, and the last thing you do is multiply or divide to get your variable by itself, okay? So we're looking mainly at the ones with the double arrows, but I'm going to go through the acronym each time, okay? So don't call me after midnight. Distribute, combine like terms, move variable, add or subtract, multiply or divide. So, don't call me after midnight. Distribute, I don't have any parentheses, I don't need to worry about distributing. Combining like terms, I don't have more than one x term, and I don't have more than one regular number on this side of the equal sign, and this number is already by itself, so I have nothing I can combine. Move the variable, I only have one variable, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I'm going to start with the adding and subtracting. So I'm going to move that plus 12 first. So I'm going to say minus 12. And then I am left with just the 6x equals 36. Now this looks just like yesterday's lesson. 6x equals 36. I can cross that off. I'm down to just multiplying and dividing. Remember, there's multiplication between the 6 and the x. So to undo it, I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides, and I'm left with x equals 6. And the way that you check that answer is you would do 6 times 6 plus 12, and you would see, does that equal 48? Well, 6 times 6 is 36. 36 plus 12 is 48. So I know my answer is correct, and I can move on. All right. Oops. I was reading the problem rather than writing the acronym. Don't call me after midnight. So start. Is there anything to distribute? No. Are there any terms to combine? No. Do I need to move the variable so it's with another variable? No. So I'm going to start with the adding and subtracting. So here I have a 54, a positive 54, so to undo that positive 54, I will subtract 54. I'm left with negative b. Don't forget about that. A lot of people will forget to bring that down. Equals negative 10. All right, so I've added and subtracted. Now I'm just looking at multiply and divide. So negative b is the same thing as negative 1 times b. So I'm going to undo that by dividing both sides by negative 1. So b equals a positive 10. And that is my final answer. And I'm done. I can check it out. Is 54 minus 10 44? Yes? All right. I'm good to go. All right. Don't call me after midnight. Do I have anything to distribute? No. Do I have any terms to combine? Nope. Do I have any variables that need to be moved from one side of the equal sign to the other? No. So now I'm moving on to the addition and subtraction. So I'm subtracting 15 on the side with the variable, so I'm going to add 15 to both sides. And I am left with 62. A over 2 equals 62. Now, a over 2, remember that's the same as divided by 2. So to undo that division, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So I am left with 124 as an answer. So then you can test it. Is 124 divided by 2? That is 62. 62 minus 15 is 47. So I know that I am good to go. All right. Don't call me after midnight. I don't have any parentheses. I have nothing to distribute. However, I do have like terms that I can combine. I have a negative 9c and a positive 3c. So I'm going to combine those. Negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6c equals 58. All right. Now, do I have any variables to move from one side of the equal sign to the other? No. So I can cross that step off. And now I'm going to do the adding and subtracting. So I leave my negative 6c alone, and I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides because I have a positive 4 there. And I am left with negative 6c equals 54. Remember, there's multiplication right there. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 6. So I have c equals negative 9. Don't forget about that negative. A lot of people will. And I'm guilty of doing it sometimes too, when I'm trying to rush or something. All right, our last page. Again, don't call me after midnight. I have nothing to distribute. I have no like terms, no variable to move. So that means I am going to add or subtract. So here's my x. That means I need to move that 17 from both sides. So I have 9x equals 3. And then I'm multiplying 9 times x. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide by 9. So x equals 3 over 9, which is the same as 1/3. Always simplify your answers if you can when you have a fraction. All right. Next problem, don't call me after midnight. I know I keep saying it over and over. It's to help you guys really get that in your head. There's nothing to distribute, no terms to combine, no variables to move from one side to the other. So I start by adding 34 because it's the number with my variable, or on the same side as my variable. I'm left with negative b. Again, I'm not forgetting about that negative. And 34 plus negative 13 is 21. So I have 21. And then remember, we never like to have negative variables. So this is a negative 1 times b. So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 1. I'm left with b equals negative 21, because a positive 21 divided by a negative 1 makes that 21 negative. All right, 2 more. Oops, don't call me after midnight. There's nothing to distribute, no terms to combine, no variables to move from one side to the other. So I start with the adding and subtracting. That's near my variable, so I'm going to move that minus 21. So I have a over 4 equals negative 28. And remember, that is division, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, and I'm left with a equals, and then negative 28 times 4, don't forget that negative, is negative 112. Oops, my pen just went a little weird. Negative 112. A equals. Okay, then moving on. Don't call me after midnight. Nothing to distribute. I do have terms to combine. So negative 4 equals 8y minus 9y is just negative y plus 6. All right, I have no variables to move, so now I'm looking at adding and subtracting the numbers on the same side as the variable. So I'm adding 6, that means I need to subtract 6 from both sides. So I have negative 10 equals negative y. And then multiply and divide. Right now, negative y is the same thing as negative 1 times y. So I divide both sides by negative 1, divide by negative 1, and I'm left with a positive 10, because negative divided by negative is positive, equals y, or you can rewrite it y equals 10. And that is my final answer. So if you have any questions at all, please be sure to ask for some help. I'm more than happy to assist you, and I hope you have a great day.